It's so dangerous what some of the gaslighting that you're seeing. I saw people gaslighting about. I'm sure you saw that debate between Dr. Oz and that guy Fetterman for the Pennsylvania Senate. And the gentleman Fetterman had a stroke 5 months ago, and he's clearly compromised to the point where while he's communicating, he's not just stumbling. He kind of lost in thought and can't form a coherent sentence and bounces around from ideas. He looks troubled. And I was watching MSNBC, and they were trying to say, well, I mess up sometimes when I talk, and I misspeak, and I stumble on my words. Of course you do. Everybody does. We're human. I do it all the time. But there's a big difference between the overall 1 hour debate. You're looking at a guy who seems to have something really wrong with his brain. And for you to gaslight and pretend that's not the case just because it doesn't fit with your narrative, that's not news. That's propaganda, and it's fucking dangerous.
Yeah, I hate to see him do that. And look, I haven't done any testing on Fetterman or President Biden, but it seems to me that President Biden is not at his best and that Fetterman is not at his best. And
that's being very charitable.
And I don't hold that against Fetterman. He had a stroke.
Exactly.
But
seems unfair to put him in that position.
It really does. And I'm not trying to be unkind. He had a stroke. I mean, the poor guy,
yes.
He had a stroke, and he's going to have to rehabilitate.
Yes.
And I hope he's able to do that.
But why did they think that they could put him out there on a huge stage like that and not have those? Like, there's interviews before that showed this where he used a teleprompter during interviews where when he was asked questions, he was allowed to look at a screen and read his responses off. And even then he struggled. He struggled to form coherent sentences while having the responses to each individual question laid out for him in a way that he could read. And this is not against the guy. I don't know anything about this guy. I really don't. I just know he's the Democrat candidate. But what you're seeing is a guy who's got a problem with his brain. That guy should be rehabilitating. He shouldn't be getting forced into an incredibly high-stress job in a public display where, it's humiliating.
Well, I think he shows great courage to get up there and do it.
Most certainly.
But, I mean, just ask yourself, let's say you were getting on an airplane and the airline pilot had a similar cognitive impairment.
Yeah.
Would you get on?
No.
Well, hell no.
Is there some sort of what do they do? Like, is there some sort of a protocol that's in place if someone is the candidate and something bad happens to them like this? You don't just have no one. Like, if he died from that stroke, would they have no Democratic candidate?
I don't know what it is in Pennsylvania. Maybe they'd have a quick special election or something. I don't know what the rule is.
That seems appropriate in this case, doesn't it?
I guess would the other guy run unopposed?
That sounds crazy.
Because
you can't have no one from the Democrats, as a candidate for Senate. You have to have someone.
I mean, there's got to be a rule, right?
There should be a rule.
I don't know what it is.
This is like not quite that, but close to it. It's not that he died, but the man had a stroke. This is not debatable. He's been open about it. And to force him into this sort of a situation while he's rehabilitating, I mean, you would be able to speak to this better than me. I would think that this would be counter to any rehabilitative, treatments that he could have. It's high stress, public, humiliating.
Well, stress is the worst possible thing that you can do when you're trying to recover from some kind of brain event like this. I don't know what kind of stroke he had. I don't know what part of the brain it was in. But I can tell you, you want to give the brain an opportunity to recover. And I don't know what his age is, but there's something called neuroplasticity. And that doesn't go up with age, it goes down. And you need to have time to recover and let different parts of the brain take over for parts of the brain that maybe have been impaired. And I don't know how severe it was. I don't know what part of the brain it was in. But it can't be good to be putting him in this kind of situation. I'm talking about just being selfish on his behalf. Don't know what his politics are. Don't.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. We're not talking about politics.
And
we're talking about a human being.
Yeah. And they talk about President Biden all the time. I mean, he's 80. And he does make a lot of gaffes. I hope I'm that well at 80, but I don't know that I would want that much stress of a job at 80. At 80, I hope I'm out fishing or something.
Yeah.
But I think when I hear people spin certain things like that, from my standpoint, that has in the past assessed cognitive functioning, I just shake my head and say, what are you talking about?
Right.
But it was painful to watch Fetterman. I felt really bad for him.
Yeah, I felt bad for him too. And again, I don't know anything about the guy. I don't know anything about his politics.
He may be a great guy for Pennsylvania or what. I have no idea what his...
I think it's a little hokey that they keep trotting him out with a hoodie on. He wears like a Carhartt hoodie. Like, I'm a man of the people. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Wear a suit, buddy.